All right, welcome back to the show. As I mentioned, we're always pleased to be joined by the one and only Ashley Nicole Moss. Ashley, we talked earlier in the season, not that I have to inspire you to cape up for the Cowboys. You are the biggest Cowboys fan I know, or in the top five. You're definitely in the top five. There are lots of Cowboys
I hope
fans.
I'm not the biggest, because
That's a lot. That's saying a lot, because the Cowboys have a lot of national fans who just the Cowboys can do no wrong. Now you have criticized them before, and I remember when Dak went down, you were a little skeptical about what they could do. Now Dak is back, and they just lost a game to drop them to 6-3, and shockingly, they're behind Philadelphia and the Giants in the NFC East. How do you see the Cowboys going down the stretch, final 8 games of the season?
I think they're all winnable games. It all comes down to schemes and how you execute those schemes, right? I don't think that what happened against Green Bay is solely Dak Prescott's fault. I know when you're the quarterback, you're the captain of the ship, and it's easy to take the blame, and usually you do take the blame. But if you actually watched the game, it wasn't all Dak. There were a lot of, drop passes. There were a lot of schemes that just were not conducive for winning. And also, I got to bring it back to the head coach. Listen, it seemed like the storyline was more about Mike McCarthy and, heading back to Green Bay for the first time and the homecoming and blah, 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 blah. Sounds great, but you're with the Dallas Cowboys. I need you to focus on the task at hand. And there were a lot of things that happened, especially in that fourth quarter, that, were not the smartest. And his decision to not kick a field goal in overtime, ultimately making it so that Green Bay, all they had to do was go ahead and get into field goal range, kick a field goal, and win the game, next score wins, I think was a just asinine decision. And a lot of Cowboy fans are questioning if this is the coach that is going to go ahead and bring us back to the promised land. And I said it, earlier in the season and even last season when there were a lot of small things that turn into big things. I don't think he's that guy. I think the guy that's going to bring us there is Sean Payton. So, Sean, I'm recruiting you again. I did this at Super Bowl this past year. I'm doing it again. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, yeah, but you know what, and Natalie, I'm going to say this, and I want to pass it to you. I may have forgotten. I need you to correct me.
Mm-hmm.
When Cooper Rush went in and won games, who was the head coach then? I can't remember. Who was it for the Cowboys? Who was their head coach?
You know what? It was Mike, but listen, I'll say this. It's a little bit, it's different when you're using your backup quarterback, right? Because when you use a backup quarterback, there's not as much film on that guy as it is at Dak Prescott, who has seasons of film. You kind of know his habits. You know what he's going to do in certain situations. You know his strong suits. You know his weaknesses. When you're using a backup quarterback, it's that mystique. You don't really know much about this guy. You don't know how he's going to react in certain situations. And yes, you may have in Cooper Rush's situation, you have more film than you would say on a regular backup who usually doesn't see the field as much as Cooper Rush has had to in these past 2 seasons. But it's not the same. And I think also you get spoiled by Dak's ability to do more than what Cooper Rush can do. And with that, you start calling things that are really unnecessary to call instead of doing what the Cowboys did with Cooper Rush. And that was put him in his pocket to where he just has to do just enough to go ahead and win games, much like a Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. I'm just curious to know, because I know you're a big Cowboys fan, where do you stand on just Dak Prescott in general? Because I see different talk and some people are just over him. Where do you stand on him?
I'm still a big Dak Prescott fan, and maybe, that's a biased opinion because he's a friend of mine, so I'm kind of on that side of the spectrum. But listen, I think Dak has a lot of, things that are not, you can't put a value on. He has a lot of the intangibles, as they say. He's a great leader, and we've seen what the team looks like when he's not at the helm. We've seen what the team looks like when he's not there. It's a drastically different team, and any team can fake it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, he is the nucleus of this system. And I think that it's about putting him in situations where he can go ahead and be great at the things that he is great at. And I think a lot of the times when you have a quarterback who's athletic, when you have a quarterback who you feel can do so many different things, you try to throw everything against the wall and see what's going to fit and see what's going to stick. And sometimes you just can't do that. And I think that the Cowboys are guilty of doing that with Dak more times than not.
Okay.
Ooh, that throw. Ooh, that throw. Oh, goodness. A couple bad. But, listen, it happens. It happens even to the best of them. Speaking of the best or the previous best, we were talking before you came on, Ashley, about the Golden State Warriors, just switching sports. Won a championship last year. Looked great. Really a wonderful run. And now they lost last night to a team that wants to be their rival. The Phoenix Suns are they are provoking them. They want to make themselves so distasteful to Golden State, so Golden State can really think about them. And this is a nasty thing. But anyway, you lost to Phoenix last night. They're 6-9. They struggled on the road. Clay's struggling. What's your take on Golden State? And do you think they'll be able to shoot or defend their way out of it?
Yeah, here's the thing with Golden State. I think they're working off that, it's called the championship rust a little bit, too much champagne still in your system. But I think also, Klay Thompson was going to take a while to get back to the Klay that we know, and even a fraction of the Klay that we know. We saw glimpses of it, but we still didn't see it in its entirety last season. And I think that was because he didn't have a full season to get his legs underneath him. He didn't really have enough time to get acclimated back into the system, back with the guys. He's coming off of 2 major injuries, and that's not something, that's easy to do, especially someone who's not 22 years old. So I think with Klay, it's going to take a little bit more time. But am I worried about the Golden State Warriors as a whole? No. Look at the competition in the West. There's only a handful of teams that you really have to worry about. You can't worry about the Lakers. They're a disaster. The Clippers, I don't even know, is Kawhi ever going to play basketball again? What's the status of that? You have to look at some of the other teams. Yeah, the Grizzlies are always in the conversation lately. But I think the West is a lot more open than it used to be. And if this were a few years prior, I'd say the Warriors are in trouble. But given how the basketball kind of rhetoric has shifted and now the competitive conference is the East, I say that the Warriors are still in a really good position to make the playoffs. I'm not worried. Are they going to be a number 1 seed, a number 2 seed, a number 3 seed? Maybe not. Are they going to be there? Absolutely.
I love your confidence in the Warriors because right now they are frustrating me. But they are playing the Knicks next. That's their next game. Are you worried?
They'll probably have a fantastic game, so you're welcome.
But you guys just won, right?
Yeah.
The Knicks just won.
We did, yeah. The Knicks was good last night. They did, so.
Have you been... there's been a lot of rumors about Tibbs potentially on the hot seat. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think Tibbs should remain as the coach or, should...
Yeah, I think this is part of the Knicks' problem, and I've spoken about this before. It's the lack of a foundation. It's the lack of continuity, and that's in all aspects, whether it's the front office, whether it's the players, whether it's the coach. And listen, a coach is not going to do every single thing right, but I think the goal is to see more pros than cons. And personally, I've seen more pros since Tibbs had with his tenure with the New York Knicks, and I've seen cons. Yes, there are things that are frustrating. There are things in terms of his management of certain players that you kind of look at and you're like, okay, I don't understand that. He's playing great. Why don't you just pull him? And that's frustrating. But is it egregious enough where I say, okay, we got to fire him and let him go? No, this is a drastically better Knicks team than we have seen in a very long time. And a lot of that is because of Tom Thibodeau. And I don't think you can just go ahead and give him, his pink slip because of a couple of bad games. I think that he is the coach this team needs right now. So, unpopular opinion, Knicks fan. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Let's switch gears. Let's stay in New York, though. Let's stay in New York. Go over to the borough of Brooklyn. And talk about the Nets, who I know, and I didn't say, we know the Knicks are king. We know the Knicks got it. Okay, this is no battle of the city kind of stuff. There's no battle. I've listened very well. Listen to you. Listen to Amina Smith. I believe you guys that it's all about the Knicks. I got it. But sure. Brooklyn is really in a strange position. We'll talk about Kyrie later, but I really want to ask you about Kevin Durant. He had some comments to Chris Haynes and said, hey, look at my teammates, essentially. What do you expect? Look at the starting five. Not much here. And I'm wondering if you think, I'm pretty confident saying Kevin Durant will not be a Brooklyn Net next year. But how about now? Do you think he'll be traded this season? And if so, where?
It depends on what the Nets, first of all, the comments, I respect KD's honesty. I'm all about honesty. It may have not been great to hear if your Knicks, if you're Claxton and those guys, you're probably like, dang, what did I do? Like, I'm trying to, but I respect the honesty. I'll say this, it depends on what the Nets are looking to accomplish. If they are hell-bent on being a contender and going deep into the playoffs and, even possibly competing for a championship like they say that they want to and what the plan has been since day one, then no, Kevin Durant's not going to get traded. If there comes a point where the writing is on the wall for them and they say, look, it's not going to happen for us, and they've come to that realization and they have those honest conversations and say the only way that this team can survive in some capacity is if we blow it up and start over, then yeah, he'll be traded. That depends on, what the front office and what Joe Tsai and what those guys, what kind of conversation they have with themselves midway through the season. And if midway through the season, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, then you have to do what's not only best for your organization and for your fan base and, for the future of the Brooklyn Nets, but you also have to take into consideration, one of the greatest players of all time, Kevin Durant. He's given everything he can to this franchise. And if it's not going to work, then you got to let him go. You have to let him be great someplace else. He's not 25 years old. He's over 30, only so many years left that he's going to be playing at a top level. If you can't utilize him and you know that it's not going to happen for you, you got to let him go and just blow it up. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen it happen.
Has he given everything, though? His all to this franchise? I feel like he bails, like the sign of trouble. He wants to bail. He wants to leave. Even and I get it. I get the honesty, right? Mm-hmm. But you still have to lead the players that you're being honest about. Right. So isn't there a level of diplomacy or a way that you go about it so you're not tearing down the same guys you have to go on the court with? I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's getting sort of a pass. Like, oh, it's not good. I'm going to bail and leave. And I mean, that's fine. That's his right. But he kind of came in and he's a large part of the reason why the team is where it is. He didn't want Kenny Atkinson to be the coach, Mm-hmm. He wanted to play with Kyrie. Like, he created a lot of this. And so now that it's like this, to then be like, oh, I want to go. I don't have what I need. Like, I mean, you need to help fix it. You helped created it.
No, I agree with you completely. I think, KD definitely has some blame in the situation. Nobody told him to leave Golden State. He wanted to go ahead and win on his own and prove that he can do that. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So absolutely, he takes some of the blame. But when I say given his all, I think a lot of players would have bailed before Kevin Durant did. I think that the Brooklyn Nets have been chaos since he got there. I don't think in some way, shape, or form, whether it's injury, whether it's, the saga with, Kyrie not wanting to get vaccinated, then the James Harden, Ben Simmons trade, and then the Steve Nash situation. And he's gone through a lot of different sagas with this franchise that I don't think a player of his caliber may have, seen through as much as he has. So for that, I have to give him credit because he has continued to step on the court every single night and give 100%. He's battled back from injuries and come back and given 100%. So for that, I have to give him credit. Is he completely, free of fault? Absolutely not. Much like LeBron in LA, like, this is what you wanted. You got what you wanted. It's not working. I get it. But you still have to go ahead and look in the mirror and say a lot of the reason it's not working is because this is what I asked for and maybe I didn't think it through. But I will say that Kevin Durant has given a lot, just to close it up, has given a lot to Brooklyn that, again, I don't see somebody of his caliber maybe seeing through. A lot of guys would have been like, after the Kyrie vaccine thing, would have been like, I'm out. I can't do this. It's too much. Like,
Well, Natalie and Ashley, I'll say this. Kevin Durant has given us a lot to think about, and that is how, and there's no answer right now, but something to think about. It's homework for all three of us. How do we, in our professions, how do we lead with honesty, authenticity, but also, we lead with honesty and authenticity, but also inspire the group? How do you do that? How can you be honest and authentic and a leader? Because your honesty might slice somebody. It might be honest. I keep it 100. Okay,
he should check in with his former teammate, Wardell.
You can say a lot. I can understand the words may not necessarily have been the nicest, but I think Kevin Durant leads by example. I don't think he's the vocal leader. I don't think he's the leader who's like, rah, rah, let's do this, guys. Come on, we can get it. You can do it. I think he's the guy who leads by example by what he does in practice, what he does on the court, what he does in games. And for some guys, that's their definition of being a leader. There are locker room guys who are going to cheer you on and you know, stroke your ego and give you that boost of confidence you need to go out every single game. And then there are guys who are not big talkers. They're all action. And I think that KD has always been somebody who is about action and not necessarily about the words. And that's just the type of leader that he is. It doesn't make it wrong, doesn't make it right. It's just who Kevin Durant has always been.
I don't think he desires to be a leader. I don't. I don't.
But if you go, hey, look, Ashley, you value honesty in relationships. I value clarity in relationships. So if you're gonna be the lead by example person, hey, don't pay attention to my words. Okay, lead by example, good. But then don't come back with some words that slice me up. That's not. Wait a minute. Now you're off brand. What happened? You're not supposed to be a talker.
Listen,
but now you're talking.
I'm sure, in you know, playing devil's advocate, I'm sure it's not something maybe they haven't heard him say before. It was just the first time we heard it. I'd be willing to bet. I'd be willing to bet it's not the first time those guys have heard something along those lines.
Ashley, we love you. Always good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
We will catch up with you soon. Go Cowboys. Go boys. I'm a Cowboys fan all of a sudden. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.